So yeah, Nahida's signature weapon is a lamp. In this video, I'm gonna be reviewing the 1000 Floating Dreams. It's Nahida's signature weapon, but we're gonna be reviewing it on all of the characters, and we're gonna see if this weapon is worth pulling for on your account or not. So yeah, let's begin. Alright, so starting off with the base stats on this weapon, we're gonna see that at level 90, it's gonna have a 442 base attack. That's low for a 5-star catalyst, obviously, but we're gonna see that it's gonna have a huge elemental mastery substat. At level 90, it's gonna give you 265 elemental mastery, and that's very huge. Like, that's the elemental mastery you need for a lot of characters. You need like 200 EM. You're gonna get that only from this weapon. So for the base stats, I wouldn't really say they're good or bad. I would say they're kind of average. You know, it's a low base attack, but the huge elemental mastery substat kind of makes up for it if your character needs elemental mastery. Now moving on to the passive. So the passive is that the character using this weapon is gonna get buffed based around the other characters on your party. It depends if they have the same elements as the user of this weapon, or if they have the a different element. So if they have the same element, you're gonna gain 32 elemental mastery, and if they have a different element, you're gonna gain 10% damage bonus from this weapon. So you have 3 other characters on your team. Let's say 2 of them have like the same element as the character using this weapon, and 1 of them have a different element. In that case, you're gonna gain 10% damage bonus and 64 elemental mastery. Maybe you have 2 from a different element and 1 from the same element. You're gonna gain 20% damage bonus and 32 elemental mastery, and so on. So yeah, each of them can have up to 3 stacks. I actually find it kind of weird that the same element characters are going to give you elemental mastery, and the different elements are going to give you damage bonus. You'd think it's going to be the opposite, since you know, if you have different elements, you're going to have more reactions, therefore you're going to benefit more from elemental mastery maybe. But yeah, that's just something I noticed. But yeah, for the rest of the passive, it's just going to give a 40 flat increase of elemental mastery to all of the rest of your team. So that's just like an extra support feature. The character equipping this weapon is not going to gain that 40 elemental mastery from the rest of the passive. And also the effects of this weapon can stack. If you have like 2 of this weapon on your team, or maybe in the future we're gonna see like more weapons from this family, they can stack. You can have 2, 3 of them, whatever. But yeah, basically all this weapon gives you is damage bonus and elemental mastery. A lot of elemental mastery, and it's gonna give you some damage bonus depending on your team. It's also gonna give you support elemental mastery to the rest of your party members. It's not really much, it's only 40, but you know, it's there. And yeah, refinements on this weapon are kind of weird, I would say. Not really weird, but it's not usual. Usually you're gonna see that from refinements 1 to 5, the bonuses are gonna double, but that's not exactly the case with this weapon. So the elemental mastery bonus is gonna increase from 32 to 64 at refinements 5. So yeah, it's gonna double. But the damage bonus is gonna increase more than double. So you're gonna have 26% at refinements 5. That's more than the expected 20% you would think. And also the support elemental mastery is only gonna be 48 at refinements 5. So it's not going to be 80, it's not going to double, it's just going to be increased by 8 points. So yeah, the refinements on this weapon are kind of weird. But yeah, basically as you guys can see here, in short, this weapon is going to be like an elemental mastery stat stick. Any character who needs a lot of elemental mastery is obviously going to benefit a lot from this weapon. It's just going to give you elemental mastery, some damage bonus, and that's it. And also some support elemental mastery, but it's not really that much. It's only 40, so you know, you don't want to like use this weapon solely for support. You just want to think of the support as like another bonus, and that's it. But yeah, now that we know that, I think it's gonna be easy to, you know, see which characters can use this weapon. So we have all of the catalyst characters in here. So first of all, we're gonna have Lisa. I think it depends on the build, but generally yes, this weapon is gonna be pretty good on Lisa, especially for like an EM built Lisa, or Lisa on like a reactions team. If you're playing her like an aggravate team and stuff like that, that weapon is gonna be pretty good. So yeah, I would say it's gonna be a very good weapon. Maybe on Lisa it's gonna be like an A or an S tier weapon. Barbara, it's not really gonna work. That's not like the type of weapon for Barbara. Ningguang is not really gonna work at all too. Klee, I mean, it might work, you know, she needs elemental mastery, not really that much, but she does need it, and it's also gonna give you some damage bonus. The base attack is also not like super low, so it's usable, but generally speaking, it's definitely not gonna be like a top weapon for Klee. It's gonna be like a B tier weapon for Klee. It's definitely gonna be out DPS by other like 4-star weapons and stuff like that, so yeah, it's definitely not recommended to get this weapon for Klee. And also it's the exact same thing with Mona. It's probably not going to be like a very good weapon on her. It's going to be usable, but it's definitely not recommended to be used on Mona. Sucrose is probably one of the best users for this weapon. You can stack elemental mastery on Sucrose, and that weapon is going to give you a lot of elemental mastery, and you're also going to gain even more support to your party members from this weapon. So yeah, Sucrose can definitely fully use this weapon. Yanfei is the same thing pretty much as Klee Ori and Mona, it's not really gonna work on her. Kokomi, definitely not the type of weapon for Kokomi. So yeah, it's not really gonna work. Yaimiko, if you're playing her in like an aggravate team, then yeah, that weapon's gonna work. Other than that, it's not really like that good on Yaimiko. You don't want to build her with only EM, you just want to get crit and stuff like that, so it's probably gonna be outperformed in general by other weapons. As I said, in like an aggravate team, it might be pretty good, but generally speaking for Yai, it's not like a top weapon. So yeah, it works for her, but it's not like a weapon that you'd want to use on her specifically. We've got Heizu. It's actually crazy. I literally forgot Heizu existed. I don't know, he just came out like a couple of months ago. We talked about him and then no one ever talks about him anymore. But yeah, that weapon's gonna be actually pretty good on Heizu. Generally you'd want to build him for like swirls and stuff like that with elemental mastery, and that weapon is obviously gonna give you a lot of elemental mastery. It's also gonna give you damage bonus, which he can use. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be a top tier weapon on Heizu. And also it fits him pretty well because he's usually played as like a support, so it's gonna be also giving your party members some elemental mastery, which is pretty good. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be a top tier weapon for Heizu. Finally, we've got Nahida. Obviously it's her signature weapon, so it's gonna work on her pretty well. But even for Nahida, I wouldn't really say it's like a necessary signature weapon. She has a lot of like other great 4-star weapons that you can use. Obviously they're not gonna be as good as her signature weapon, but it's not like a necessary signature like we've seen with like Nilou's signature weapon, for example, and stuff like that, where she doesn't have any weapons, she can only use her signature pretty much. That's not the case with Nahida. You know, you don't have to get the 1000 floating dreams for Nahida to work, even though it's good, but it's definitely not necessary. But yeah, generally speaking, it's obviously going to be a top tier weapon for Nahida, but it's going to have a lot of other weapons that are going to be close to it. So yeah, that's it for the characters. Now for the conclusion. Should you wish for this weapon or not? Before we continue with that though, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Right off the bat, to be honest, I would say it's probably a skip. As I said before, that weapon is just basically an elemental mastery stat stick. You just use it to get elemental mastery. So even though it's gonna be like very good to characters who use like an incredible amount of elemental mastery, it's still not like that universal. And also it's not even like that necessary even for characters who need elemental mastery. We have a lot of like other 4-star weapons and stuff like that that give elemental mastery. Obviously not as much, but they're just gonna do the job fine. And if you really need elemental mastery that much on a character, you know, you can just get a lot of substats, you can use elemental mastery main stats and stuff like that, and you can probably make up for it. You know, you can just manage elemental mastery. It's not necessary to get it from a weapon, and even that, if you want to get it from a weapon, we have a lot of elemental mastery 4-star weapons and stuff like that. So yeah, I wouldn't really say that weapon's gonna have like great value. Again, it's not bad, it can be used on a lot of characters, but you know, it's definitely not gonna be like a super good weapon, especially for a 5-star. Like even for Nahida, for example, it's not gonna be like that crazy on her. Sometimes it might even be like out DPS by the Kagura and stuff like that in some situations. Generally it is her best weapon, but I'm saying like it's not gonna be by a big margin. It's not gonna be far off from other weapons and stuff like that. You can still build Nahida fine even without this weapon. So yeah, in my opinion, 1000 floating dreams is probably a skip. But yeah, that was the video, guys. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. If you want to say anything or you want to give your opinion, leave it in the comments, and see y'all in the next video. Peace.